sheets, and we're going to be going over the late look at the main MLB slate tonight. I'll update you guys on some PGA projections as well. Maybe we'll do one more build as far as that goes also. Before we get into it, let me just double check the weather because there were some worries that the Coors game was an issue, but it does not look that way. Game's going to play apparently. As usual, Colorado does get some rain from time to time, but they usually figure out a way to play over there. Okay. Let's do what we usually do. Let's share my screen. We'll take a look at the sheets, then we'll build, and I'll let you guys know who I like, and who I like, as you might know, does not always correspond to who we actually play. So we're gonna go through process again. Just continue to grind this thing, continue to grind these new techniques and see what looks right. All right, so let me share my screen first of all. And I did just update the projections, so they should be pretty tight. Okay, so we're looking at the ranking of the pitchers right now, and you'll see that Cole Ragans and Joe Ryan remain at the top of the board as far as my ratings are concerned. And you do see that Ragans is pretty decently ahead of Ryan. Following that, you have that same group of three. Next, that would be Hunter Brown, Kevin Gausman, and Freddie Peralta, and then there's kind of a drop. Now, of note, these pitchers and these drops are not that bad. Taj Bradley's okay, but you have Garrett Crochet at 9,200 against a pretty weak lineup today, actually, for Houston at 16% ownership. I was expecting it to project a little bit better. Then you have Bobby Miller, who's right in there, and Garrett Cole, who just is total wild card. I mean, I have no idea how many innings he's going to pitch. Sean Manaea, right in there also. So all these guys are kind of secondary. The main five are Ragans, Ryan, Brown, Gausman, and Peralta. And then we're going to build in a minute, but that's who we're looking at here. And when it comes to the stacks, that was on FanDuel. DraftKings. When it comes to the stacks, not much has changed since the afternoon. The Dodgers still rate like 10 fantasy points higher than everybody else as far as raw points go. But you have a 7K guy in Ohtani, makes it difficult to get to. And they're going to be significantly owned anyway. So second team in kind of a tier of its own here, once again, is Milwaukee as far as just raw points. But when you look at, modified stack scores, which facts into account point per dollar a little bit more, then Toronto kind of eclipses Milwaukee as the next stack, and which is noteworthy because they are lower owned, at least projected, than Milwaukee. So if we were going to hand build, let's just figure this out. So then we get down, the next group would be the Mets, Boston, Houston, even with the bad lineup, Texas, even the White Sox somewhat. But these are the three main ones. Dodgers for sure, and then Toronto, Milwaukee would be kind of the natural pivots. So, I mean, if you wanted to just go ahead and hand build, it's not that difficult to come up with something. So again, we don't want to do everything chalky. So if we cleared this, if we went with, let's not do Milwaukee, let's do one of the others. Let's go to Toronto, because that's the one that made the most sense, right? Because it was almost on par with the others and it was lower owned than Milwaukee. So what would the Toronto ones be? Again, if we're just hand building this, it would be something like, you're not getting to too much of the good guys here. Like, you're not getting to Guerrero. You're getting to Turner, though. So you could probably play a lot of these guys. So it would be Spencer Horowitz for sure. I mean, he's 3,400 leading off. That's going to kind of drive the whole deal. And I think that we could probably get to Guerrero, so we'll put him in. And then Justin Turner. What position does Justin Turner play nowadays? First base. Ooh, so you can't play both him and Guerrero. So that's interesting somewhat. That makes things a little interesting. So we'll leave Guerrero in for now. And then Varsho, we always like playing him. What position does he play nowadays? He's outfield at 4,300. And then it's between, do you want to spend up for say, Jansen? Or do you want to pay down for something like Kiermaier or Banger? Or Barger, sorry. He's only 2,200. I mean, that's certainly, if you do that, that'll allow you to get to other stuff. And then let's say you play Jansen. So you could do this, for example. And then you could swap Guerrero for, what's his name? Varsho, if you wanted. And if you did that, you probably don't even have to pay down for Hunter Brown. You might be able to get away with both these guys. You know, play Reagan and Ryan together. I mean, this is a perfectly reasonable GPP start. You know, play Toronto with the top pitchers and just kind of be off to the races. You know, 3,800 demand, not difficult to do. Peek back at questions, don't have any good. So let's look at FanDuel next, and then we'll do a DraftKings build, and we'll do a FanDuel build. Then we'll get out of here. FanDuel, same approach. Take a look. And you'll see it's very similar. It's the same five. Gausman, Reagans, Brown, Peralta, Ryan. All pretty reasonable within each other's range. Any one of those five is totally okay. When it comes to stacking on FanDuel, same look. We'll take a look at the stack tool. We'll look at the raw points, and the Dodgers are 12 points ahead of everybody else, followed by Milwaukee. Same cluster underneath. Then when you put a little bit of value into it, you still don't get Toronto up to where Milwaukee is. On FanDuel, maybe Boston is a little bit better than they were on DraftKings. And also, you see Kansas City is not bad at low ownership over here. So if I were going to play FanDuel, again, if you don't want to play the Dodgers, I mean, since you already played Toronto, do something with maybe like Boston and the Mets, with whatever pitcher you want. And I'll show you what that could look like, I guess. Okay, so let's and then we'll actually build using SaberSim. So we'll edit this lineup. And what was it? Who did we say? Boston and the Mets. So let's just see if we can get everybody we want here. Boston would be, well, we'd want Devers, right? So it'd be Devers, Duran, O'Neill, and Hamilton. Let's put all those guys in, I guess. Boston, Toronto, so Boston. Devers, Duran, O'Neill. Who's the other one? Hamilton. Shortstop, second base. He fits right on in there like a champion. You could put second base or shortstop. And then, but we're going to probably want Lindor for the Mets. So if we put him in, I mean, this is pretty easy. You could play Alonso up over here. And you don't even need Alonso. Pretty crazy. But you play what? Play JD Martinez. You can play Nemo. I mean, this builds itself. Okay, and then a utility. You can play Martinez. You can play Marte. Whatever, because we have 12,000 left. And remember, on FanDuel, you can get $8,000 Gausman for, or $7,800 Hunter Brown. Can't play Gausman against if you're using Boston as your stack, though. So just go right ahead and play Hunter Brown, and then, then you're chilled. So let's take a look at what happens when we use SaberSim for both sites. Let's pull it up here. And as usual, the difficult decision is going to be when we apply the contest sims. If we apply it to the contest sims, are we going to go with the default SaberSim lineups? Field predictions, or are we going to replace them with our own? Let's take a look. Let's MLB here. So who's out? Nobody's out. So let's rebuild. We already put the sheets in. We'll rebuild 5,000 lineups. And then we'll look at a couple of different ways to rank them. Okay, so when we look at the lineups first, just, using the regular SaberSim high upside kind of settings, we'd be getting 78% Mets. So that's a lot. So the question is, what do you do with that? We'll get to that in a second. As far as pitchers go, you'd be getting, let's see, Ryan. Ooh, a bunch of Sean Manaea, which I was not expecting. So that's sort of interesting. You're getting different at pitching, and you're also getting all these Mets. So you're getting a big old correlation stack there between the Mets and Manaea. It seems like an awful lot of the Mets to get. So let's run kind of the contest sims and see if we can't taper that out a little bit. Let's see what our settings are. We'll use the default SaberSim settings here. Flagship MME. Ball 4, we'll use that one. High stakes MME for walk-off. And we'll hit run contest sims. And what we're really looking for is a construct that'll get us the type of builds that we want. In other words, if I wanted to, I could have gone straight with what SaberSim recommended and plowed in 78% Mets. And there's a certain degree of wisdom to that. Rather than saying, this seems like too much. I mean, you should, I think people should trust the technology a little more than they do, if you want to know the truth. Anyway, bat flip. Using the contest sims, using their, stock field projections. Let's see. Why is it still showing? Oh, because we didn't flip it yet. Let's just see something. Still showing the same Mets as before. Interesting. I think it's something's going on here. Let's run the contest sims again, because it looks like it's going to be the same stuff as I had before. Let's just see, because it should give you a different breakdown of stacks when you run the sims, as opposed to when you just put the regular SaberSim stuff in there. So let's see if anything changes here. Yeah, for whatever reason, SaberSim is kind of being a little pesky here. Let's run let's try to confuse it. Let's run it against build 3, which is the 5,000 lineups we created. So we're essentially going to run the lineups against ourselves and see if SaberSim likes that a little bit more. So it looks as though SaberSim is getting a little bit annoyed here, I think. Yeah, it's not really changing much of anything here. So it looks as though the sims are either down or something's going on here, because it's really not doing anything for me. So what else can I tell you? So with FanDuel, let's look at that one. Maybe SaberSim's a little more cooperative there. Once again, we'll do the same thing. We'll upload the projections. Build 5,000. Now, as that's going on, I'm going to take a look at my updated PGA projections. For those of you that didn't watch the video, it's again, these 7K guys are driving everything, and the only thing that's kind of moved up in my rankings are a little more boccia maybe than before. Maybe boccia is a little better than English after all that, which certainly makes instinctive sense, but instincts really never got us anywhere. But you'll notice that there's very little Scheffler near the top. I like Schauffele / Morikawa, that kind of pairing, more than Scheffler today or for tomorrow. Now, keep in mind it is a no-cut event, so that's one of the reasons why the Stars and Scrubs builds are going to work, or they rate to work, because you don't have to worry about the 7K guys missing the cut. You're going to get 4 rounds out of them. All right, so with FanDuel, again, the initial builds without running the sims are a bunch of Milwaukee, 66% Milwaukee, 30% KC. Not really getting to much of the Dodgers at all. Let's rerun these sims and see if we can't jog the memory a little bit. Run sims. Yeah, Houston's a tough lineup today. I don't know if I would get too heavy with them against Crochet. That's a tough one. I mean, they can really get their heads handed to them. So let's see. Yeah, it looks as though for some reason the sims are being a little bit testy here, and they're not really adjusting. So, oh wait, there he goes. Okay, so let's go back to DraftKings a minute. So when we applied the sims to FanDuel, Tampa kind of moved to the top of the list, like 78% Tampa, like for example. Now I wouldn't play 78%. Play min uniques 2, something like that. Even still, you're getting 70% Tampa, which is quite annoying, right? But that's okay. Tampa, you're getting leverage against Joe Ryan, which is always good news because Joe Ryan stinks. I shouldn't say that. He doesn't stink, but he always seems to disappoint. Let's put it that way. When I haven't. And in the monster, I would be getting a little more, regular, like Dodgers with the Brewers, with the a little bit of Toronto, maybe makes sense. As a matter of fact, let's I do want to save this one to the championship. Let me go back to the DraftKings thing on SaberSim, see if it's in a little better mood. Got time? Yeah, we got time. Plenty of time. So let's go back to DraftKings then and see if for those who didn't notice, I put the WNBA sheets up today. We'll see how that helps. Let's see. Bat flip. Change anything here? Okay, there it is. So when we applied the Sims now, we were getting about 48% White Sox against Hunter Brown with all that leverage. So that is definitely something you could do. You can go min uniques 2, min uniques 3, and see if you can't get that to crunch up a little bit. But maybe this is a little better. But even still, this is a tough sell. This is definitely a tough sell. Nonetheless, that's pretty much what I have right now, is different ways that you can play and different ways you can construct. Now, again, you see why we're getting the White Sox, right? Because when you're running Sims and you're factoring in ownership and what most people are going to play, you're going to see a lot of people with the Hunter Brown SP2. So this way you play White Sox, you get direct leverage against them. Now, again, it's not, it's not so easy, right? With Alex Jackson and Abraham Toro, do I need a okay, that's good. Down these. Let's make sure that all my guys are actually playing now that I did this. And I'll be going ahead and doing some late swaps a little bit later. Yeah, these all look good. Milwaukee, some Tampa, some other stuff. There's A. Jackson. Why is A. Jackson still in my lineups if I thought that I got rid of him? Oh, all right, so let's just get rid of him manually here. Oh, we couldn't get him out of here. Okay. So we'll have to. Who is the catcher for Tampa? And again, this is dangerous because it's like you're just getting pure leverage over Joe Ryan. We'll put the other pitcher in here. We'll put in Gausman, and this way we can get up to somebody decent. We'll late swap later. Alvarez is good enough. There's a one-off over there. Okay. We'll late swap out of that later. All right, so the last thing I want to do is I am going to do, just because it's what I'm doing now, an updated PGA build for tomorrow, in case I don't do one later. So again, show you the process. All right, new set of projections. Actually, it's not really that new of a set of projections. Very, very small changes. And yeah, because I know that I want to change my big buy-ins. One of them has the Harris English ones. I'd rather get to Boccia if I can do it. It's the sand trap. I'm leaving some money on the table in these things. Almost done here. Yeah, this looks about right. So this is probably taking a little bit too long. So while this is happening, maybe let me go back to my baseball for a minute. I don't like the way that I swapped that catcher there, but it's not that bad. Once again, I have this issue. Kiki Hernandez is out now too. Let's just get him out of there. Put Bregman in instead. This is fine. And we'll late swap out of that later. Okay. Let's go back to FanDuel then. Let's just make sure that we don't have anybody that's out of FanDuel. It's out on FanDuel. Should be okay, right? Do I have any Kike over here? No. Well, why do I not have him in over there? I should. Oh, it didn't have a projection over there. Yeah, I'm going to have to do this over. That's annoying. No, it's even more dramatic than that, David. So if you're around, you're supposed to late swap regardless of how well your guys are doing, which is kind of spooky, right? So if you put stuff in at 7:00 and then it's now 8:00, for example, and you have results in from these 3 games, with this new information in, you should always redo your entire build. Okay. Just because any build that you make with less information is going to be worse than any build you make with more information. You might end up getting the same guys, but probably not. And I know it's kind of hard to accept, right? But you should be late swapping your entire portfolio for whatever's best. Now, it might end up being the same, but it might not be. Because what SaberSim does, for example, is it takes into account the actual ownership of the guys that have already played, or for whom the ownership is already in. So you actually should be late swapping whenever you can, whether you guys do well early or poorly early. All right, so this is what things look like here in the PGA streets. Once again, still 83%. No, it's not out. He's not out. Kike is not out. I just didn't have a projection for him. That was my error. It said here that, alert, Kike Hernandez is either out or is missing a projection. it's because I was missing a projection. That's all. It could be just one guy then, but you should run it and see what you get. So here it's same thing, same guys that I had from before. And then again, probably a good idea to use build 2 as my contest sim there. And it looks as though we should be good to go. Okay, so listen, I'm going to get out of here, and I'll get into more of this, David, later. I've talked about this a lot, though, about late swapping. Actually, I have this right here. Well, let's pull this up now. Risk-adjusted ROI, 33%, 24. Okay, this looks like a little more normal, whatever that means. Do we need to go min uniques 2? Probably not, right? Probably don't even need to do this. So let's just stick with min uniques 1. Save these to the sand trap, and then that should be in good shape there. All right. Well, listen, good luck, everybody. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Put this in. Blink.